Hey Body Buds, I am just finishing up coaching here at a local high school and wanted to jump on here quickly because I think we all forget the power of vegetables. So I'm here just to drop you a 2-minute reminder of why you need to be eating vegetables, especially on a day like Valentine's Day when the treats and the sugar are gonna be higher, or hopefully they're not higher, but they might be. So you have to remember that a lot of this comes down to fiber. When you're putting more dietary fiber in your body, you help to slow the insulin secretion and how much that blood sugar is coming up. So you're gonna need that natural dietary fiber to help. Now, when we're dealing with blood sugar that does this all throughout the day, when we're eating carbohydrates, that means that eating a vegetable or multiple vegetables at every single meal will help to minimize the impact of that blood sugar. We know that not very good things happen when blood sugar comes too high, nor when it goes too low. If you're someone with type 1 or type 2 diabetes, you probably are a little bit more aware of that than a lot of people. So eat those vegetables at regular intervals throughout the day. It's a wonderful snack. Secondly, when your brain is feeling kind of sluggish, when you're feeling a little more depressed, you're feeling a little more anxious, you need the proper fuel to make neurochemicals, the neurotransmitters in your body. And so the way we do that is through amino acids, which comes from protein, and that binds to the vitamins and minerals in vegetables. And so you have to have that protein and veggie anchor. It doesn't mean you need a ton of protein, but you do need some amino acids to help make those neurotransmitters. That's GABA, acetylcholine, norepinephrine, dopamine, serotonin. I'm sure you've heard those before. And so when we are eating protein and vegetables, and that's part of our regular staple of a meal, this helps to offset what happens when we are feeling a certain way and we're like, in the back of our mind, and other people may tell us, well, it's your nutrition. You need to get some of those things on point, but there is actually a physiological and biological explanation for that. Next thing is you need a lot of these antioxidants and you need these phytochemicals to help, think of it like scraping all of the waste and metabolic waste out of your body. All of the toxins, the free radicals that build up in your body. Your body is constantly going through all these energy systems, and so there's waste as a reaction from that. And so you have to have the antioxidants from vegetables to help push that through the body. If you are under eating vegetables, then this may not get those out, and then it's going to build up inside the body, and that potentially can lead to inflammation in the body, which is the root cause of all disease and illness. We see so many illnesses and diseases out here, and we have this name and this name and this name and this name, but if you really trace them all back, there's something off in the body, usually the stem from inflammation. So there's a lot on the preventative front that we can all be doing with those vegetables, making sure we are buying as organic as possible, especially if they're on the Dirty Dozen list. That is in my book, The Power of Foods Lifestyle. I'd encourage you guys to read that again if you have not read that in a while, but you need to know what those Dirty Dozen are, because the pesticides are a problem. Okay, they're a problem for our gut, and they are one reason that gut lining gets really thin, and then it becomes permeable. And then you have bacteria and yeast and even parasites that can get through that gut wall and into the blood, and that breaks the blood-brain barrier. That can actually cause mental health conditions. Your gut is very important, so we have to look at the chemicals, the free radicals, the inflammatory responses that are causing the weakening of the gut wall. And guess what? Your best protective measure from all of those is your vegetables. Get back to the basics, my friends. We have to stop trying to optimize every little thing through all these powders and potions and get back to your basics, my friends. I give lectures on this to teenagers everywhere, is you have to go back to thinking like you live in the 1800s. If you are going to leave home, don't you dare rely on other people to provide that food. You must get to the point where you are going to take control of your health. You are going to become the master of going to a grocery store or a farmer's market, or you know what, you can order them online. Thrive Market is a great way to get those groceries to your door. You cut them up, you prepare them, you use them in meals. Make these habits. This is the only basic fighting defense we have in this world that honestly, it's not about healthcare, it's about sick care. Look at the conventional medical system. Okay, I yesterday got 2 messages from people who just came from the doctor, got a new diagnosis. They messaged me. They said, all the doctor wants to do is put me on antibiotics. And they're dealing with way bigger stuff than that. The antibiotics is treating a symptom, and it's going to cause more problems because you're killing off more good, or the gut bacteria. I'm really against antibiotics unless it's life-threatening. So, you know, and it's hard when you're not the one spending hours and hours and hours in research every day and seeing the stories and knowing what's going on. So I just would hope that you guys always have a takeaway from any of my information, a podcast, YouTube video. What's your takeaway? Vegetables are king. You need to be eating them every few hours. You need to get different varieties. In Power Foods Lifestyle, we have 4 different levels. Okay, we have leafy greens. You need to have at least 1 leafy green a day. Best case scenario, you have a leafy green for breakfast, for lunch, and for dinner. Start exploring the ones you haven't had. If you're still eating iceberg and spinach only, you need to move on. Collard greens, red chard, kale, black kale. There's so many varieties of kale. You've got arugula. I feel like a rainbow chard is a new favorite of mine. So these are really important. And then you've got your water-based veggies, things that go crunch and splash when you bite them. So sugar snap peas, bell peppers, all colors are very important. Any different color, the vibrancy is an indication that there's a different metamorphosis of chemicals in there that are really good for your body, the phytonutrients and the antioxidants. So the more we can change up those colors, the better. But at the end of the day, green rules. And so green, get some orange in there. You do need some carrots from time to time. You do need some squash. You do need your miscellaneous veggies, things like asparagus, your butternut squash, your artichoke, things like that. And my third category, sorry, I skipped from 1. 1 was leafy greens, 2 was water-based, 4 was miscellaneous, and 3 is cruciferous. So your broccoli, your cauliflower, your Brussels sprouts, bok choy, and kale technically is a cruciferous, but we do put it in leafy greens because it's just easier to remember. And so if you will think about these simple categories, write them down, put them on your fridge so that you are asking yourself like a checklist instead of thinking, oh, this is everything I can't or shouldn't eat. Like, no, you're already failing the game if you think like that. It's what should I be intentionally putting in my body as a mechanism to give it the fuel it needs every single day. So you have leafy greens. Did I have a leafy green today? Or 2, did I have a cruciferous vegetable? Cruciferous vegetables, it's really not best practice to eat them raw. Steam them, sweat them. That means you just put a teeny bit of water in the bottom of a skillet, you cover it with a lid, put it on medium, 5 to 10 minutes, crack some eggs in it, some grass-fed butter, some coconut oil, boom, beautiful meal right there. And the thing about cruciferous vegetables, especially broccoli, those ones have been tested. You can find study after study after study about their major cancer-fighting properties. They have very powerful nutrients in them. And so try to hit 1 cruciferous a day. Now, this doesn't mean try to hit all of this in one day. That doesn't work in a realistic lifestyle. What I have found is shopping each week, if you will choose 1 or 2, maybe 3 veggies from each of these 4 categories and rotate through them. And then the next week you say, cool, let's keep 1 the same. That's super easy and it's easy to keep it consistent, but let's change 1 up. So maybe spinach is your consistency, but each week you're trying a new leafy green. Maybe this week is arugula, next week is romaine, the next week is collard greens. So with your water-based, maybe celery and carrots are super easy for you, but you need to branch out. Maybe next week you're going to do jicama. Maybe the week after that you're going to try an orange pepper, things like that. Then if you get into your miscellaneous veggies, maybe you're really good with zucchini, but you need to start doing asparagus more, or you need to start trying just some of those elusive ones that, like, who even knows what a rutabaga is, you know? Like, go to the produce section, be like, what have I not eaten before? I need to eat it, and try it and look up recipes. The third category is your cruciferous again. So maybe broccoli is super easy for you. So then maybe the next week you go Brussels sprouts. Then the next week after that you go cauliflower. So the key is not to try and do all of this. It's too overwhelming, to be very nice to yourself, but rotate it out. And you can do that when you take a card, put it on your fridge, and then you have a rule of thumb and a gauge to look at. Again, focus on what you should be putting in your body and get to put in your body rather than what you shouldn't be eating. And no, that's bad. Don't eat that. Like, be a stronger, higher mindset person than that. But let's get those vegetables in. It helps to make the neurotransmitters in your brain. You need the chemicals to bind with those amino acids to make neurotransmitters in your brain, to feel better, to feel less anxious, to feel less depressed, to feel more optimistic and hopeful. With this day and age and everything we have against us, we got to use every weapon we have, and your vegetables are such an empowering weapon that so many people overlook. Make sure that you are actually, there's something called Fit Wash, and there's other things you can look up on Amazon, but when you buy your vegetables, it is good practice to use one of these washes that can help to get any residue off, like pesticides, perhaps. I just picked one up the other day at Smith's here in Utah, but whatever state you guys are in, maybe look, and if you find one, comment below and share it with everybody. Those are very good to be using. I do believe in dirt, but it's hard because, like, getting dirt versus pesticides, it's kind of a hard balance. And so I honestly err on the side of get things off the vegetables and the fruits that I'm eating, and then just make sure when it's winter or it's hard to go outside and like walk barefoot, but in the spring, in the summer, in the fall, we should be walking barefoot outside. We should be touching the earth with our skin. Very important to connect in the old-fashioned ways. If we're going to survive another 100 years as a species, we've got to get back to these basics, my friends. This is the first generation, the kids these days, it's the first generation that potentially could not outlive their parents due to the standard American diet, the pollution. I mean, it's not just one thing. We have a host of problems going on. So let's use every weapon available. Vegetables are your number one weapon that you can be using. Your PV is your anchor to every meal you eat. It's not to say it's a ton of protein, but it is a little base of some protein and vegetables to make neurotransmitters for your brain, scrape out those extra free radicals, the inflammatory responses in the body, so your body is constantly generating. Remember, it's going to leave behind that waste unless you're scraping it out. So veggies are not like a celebrate, good job, you had one today. Nope, you got to make it a consistency thing, okay? Be gentle and kind with yourself while you're developing new habits. No one's going to just suddenly hit the street running and sprinting, but you do need to be persistent. Be tough with yourself. This is the pathway to healthcare, not sick care. Love you guys. Power your body, one meal, one workout, one day at a time.